Hey guys, per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only, and it's not intended as financial advice. So I haven't done one of these in a little while, but it's a what's in your bags video. Essentially, I ask people for what they're trading, what their targets are, and then I talk about it on the chart. That way I don't just end up TAing everything on Polo. That takes forever. This is kind of more interesting for me. I don't do this to like belittle anybody or like talk down their bags or targets or whatever. It's just interesting to make trading more of a community thing versus like an individual enterprise, which it pretty much is for the most part. So I have three for this video. Startail has a YouTube video of his or her own. I'll go over these targets, sans Bitcoin. That'll be a separate video. There's CoinSpeak, who has his own YouTube channel as well. He kind of copped out and just told me 10x, so none of his targets will be on my chart, but I'm charting this stuff here. I left this out for now. I'm going to leave out waves because it's not on TradingView, and if it's not on TradingView, I really can't chart it the way I want to chart it. That doesn't mean it's not worthy of being bought or whatever. I just don't want to bother. And then Bevo13, this was his list, and I'll go through that as well. So let's get started with ARDR. And for altcoins in general, the first thing I usually do when I'm starting this video, for instance, I go to the highest time frame, look at the volume, see what's going on. One of the key indicators I look for as far as interest is, was it dead volume and then all of a sudden there's record volume 3 weeks in a row? Like, that's a big indicator when it's near historic lows especially, and you see that, and you have to think to yourself, who's buying here? Why are they buying? What's going on? Should I get in here? You know, the volume's huge for altcoins because most of them just have been on zero volume for years, and then all of a sudden things are happening. Alright, so this is ARDR. First thing I noticed on the daily is the potential for head and shoulders. It's pretty herky-jerky in general, but the volume is definitely there. No comment on RSI, but there was a nice pitchfork that fit here. You can see it was outside the range of the fork and sold back down to the median line, so that tells me even more than anything else that the pitchfork is valid. You know, yes, it fits this channel nicely, it fits this channel nicely, but the fact that it was out of the pitchfork and went back to the median line in like 3-4 days says this is the pitchfork to watch for ARDR. One of the few coins that you can actually pitchfork because everything else is so insanely overbought or just so pumped that pitchfork principles just don't matter because everything's just going to be above the pitchfork. So the anchor points would be here, here, and here. Here's another ARDR chart. Again, if I'm looking at volume on the 4-hour, when I'm seeing a descending volume, so my eyes immediately go to volume first, and then I look at the price, because to me, all this is just nonsensical, hard to follow. You know, there are patterns everywhere, there are flags everywhere, diamond top, blah blah blah, and then it just sells off, whatever. But I can understand the volume. I can understand descending volume profiles very quickly. You can see that. So currently, descending volume profile, it's got this flag or pennant, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely a bullish continuation sign. EMAs are bullish. Question is whether or not this will be in head and shoulders or go for higher highs. And if we go to the 2-hour chart, you can see this channel even further. It's above the cloud. It definitely wants to go to higher highs, which would be local top first, more than anything. So that's it for ARDR. BitShares. So here's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about volume. You're seeing just week after week of the same volume over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden down here, you're seeing 2 weeks. So that was a sign. I was in BitShares. I'm out now, but I was in, I don't know when. And I got out, I don't know when, but that doesn't matter. Point is, again, the volume principle I keep talking about. Watch the volume on high time frame. I mean, look where it came from. The volume back here in 2015 comparatively to where it is now. Insanity. Something else I'm really noticing with a lot of alts is these large volatility, large barred candles on high time frames. I don't really know what to comment about that, other than if you're buying here and get a bad entry, you're going to be holding for a while. if it pulls back suddenly and doesn't return to the local highs. This at least is bailing people out if they got in up here. So that's weekly. And if we go to daily, again, I'm seeing this descending volume potential for head and shoulders. Doesn't look like anything I want to be in right now, even though it's pumping. Another thing I see immediately is this bearish TK cross. So when I see the bearish TK cross and price above the bearish TK cross, that to me is a divergence that says this is happening too fast for cloud on this particular time frame. That doesn't mean it doesn't look better on the 4-hour or the hourly. It just tells me that on the daily, it's going to probably come back to that key June before it does anything crazy. And then lastly, the RSI is definitely, this was a bear div pulled back. That makes sense. And it's setting itself up for another bear div, whether or not it makes a higher high here. But I'd expect this to at least reach the local and then bear div out back to the key June. And the bigger idea for BitShares, again, descending volume profile. This is Bevo 13's target, which I really, really like. It's within range of the pivots, the potential 3 drive that doesn't really fit anymore, but the idea is there. We're probably going to get a third drive that's going to go higher, essentially, is what I'm trying to say with all these third drive charts I keep posting. Some of the alts, like ETC, had its 3 drives, and the question now becomes, will it keep going? Will it get a 4th and 5th drive like Bitcoin sometimes does? But we'll get to that. So I put on monthly pivots as well, and you can see that target's well within the monthly pivot. So I really don't think it's out of the question we're going to see this within the month. It's just the daily doesn't look like it really wants to do continuation right now. But I would definitely watch the daily bear div, so a higher high with lower momentum. But this is definitely a reasonable target, a 6-7 level. Then just on the 4-hour, like I was saying, on daily doesn't look great because of the bearish TK cross, but the 4-hour, everything is bullish on the cloud. Volume and RSI, just kind of whatever. If we go to Decred, again, weeks of, at the time, whatever volume it was fine, and then you get these 2 weeks of all-time highs in volume. That's your signal, something's going on here. Clearly this is hindsight, but, for these coins that are on Bittrex with no volume, like I mentioned CPC on Twitter, coins that are just no volume for days and days and days, or weeks or months, and then all of a sudden you're seeing record highs in volume, that says something's up for sure. Not necessarily a buy signal on its own, but worth checking out. Alright, so back to Decred. I don't really want to look at it any lower than the weekly right now because, again, descending volume, it's just been in this channel for several weeks, a couple months now. So until it breaks the channel, it's really uninteresting. It should be continuation because it's, again, a bull flag pennant, whatever you want to call it. And you're looking at the 1618 level, 0347, something like that. So triple from the current price is pretty viable. We go to Digibyte, which I really don't understand at all why it pumped the way it did. I wasn't in it. So, congrats to all these people making just insane amounts of money on shitcoins. But so what I see right immediately is this insane tweezer top, just like Bitcoin, which as a rule, you're not going to see higher highs on this before consolidation. So if you're in Digibyte thinking about holding it long term, great, but I really don't think this is going to make a higher high. I could be completely wrong because Digibyte is beyond any conventional technical analysis at this point, but it did pull back at the 2.272, arbitrary whatever. You're getting lower volume on a higher high, so that's a bear div. You're also getting an RSI bear div. If you kind of zoom in, you can see it. So this should not make a higher high for some period of time. It may just channel in this zone for a few months and then go up, but I really don't think it's going to make a higher high, which means it probably will, but I'm not going to get in it here, definitely. And if there was anybody in it still, I wouldn't recommend keeping it, but that's just me. So Ethereum Classic, kind of interesting because like I was saying, it's had its 3 drives already. Where's it going to go from here? I do like the 125 target. It's kind of above any fibs, so it's kind of in no man's land, but I think ETC just has the potential of going to infinity based on Barry Silbert alone. So I don't necessarily believe in Ethereum or Ethereum Classic, but if you're looking to make money, I think this is decent investment just based on that. And if we look at the monthly pivots and cloud on the 4-hour, you can see the Bevo target is well within below the R2 pivot, so that makes sense. It's sitting at the pivot right now on the monthly, which is good, which is what you want to see as far as an entry is concerned. The general idea for pivots is it should go from one to the other, and you should see some support. These should be support resistance lines basically. And this is all based on math from the previous month. So we're in the cloud, bearish TK. Nothing on the cloud here says go long. So you'd wait till you get a Kumo breakout if you weren't already in this, like many people are. And again, you're seeing descending volume here. Factum is a bit of a mess. I don't know why I left volume off here, but this is one of these charts where it's like it's at all-time highs essentially. It hasn't really closed a weekly up here ever, so this could just go and go and go. But it's not something I want to be in just looking at this chart. But we could be like on the first floor of a 200-story building. Like, I don't know, because past all-time highs, things just happen. Price discovery happens. So once it gets past whatever this is, we'll just say 0.9 for convenience, but who knows where it goes from there. As far as fibs are concerned, if I used the strategy we used for Bitcoin, which was take the all-time high to the ultimate, what the low was, and then look at those fibs, you're looking at 0107 and 0134 as targets, which are fine. And again, these fibs make sense. They fit the price. You're not really curve fitting. You're just validating what you're seeing here. This is a resistance line. This is a support resistance line very clearly. This is also a support resistance line. So all this makes sense. So it tells you that the prior fibs make sense. The future fibs should make sense as far as support resistance targets. But nothing I want to be in right now, Factum, as far as that's concerned. Could certainly double very easily, especially if it breaks all-time highs. So that'd be the first thing to watch. And again, descending volume profile. Flow, again, just weeks of nothing volume, and then all of a sudden starts picking up in here. Especially you're getting multi-week buying with just large candles, eventually breaking all-time highs. I wasn't in flow, wasn't really watching flow, but that's again something you can watch the volume. And again, you're seeing these large barred candles, just insane volatility, probably due to thin order book in general. People who bought heavy down here, just market selling up here, and it just destroys the order book. That's my guess, because there are plenty of people who bought here who aren't refilling the order book up here, and the people who are refilling the order book up here probably aren't buying what the people bought down here, so you're just seeing just insane volatility. Nothing I want to be in. It certainly could be flagging here. I would just give it lots of time, at least 4 weeks before anything could happen. You're seeing a wick this size. Again, not a bullish continuation sign. That just, the definition of a blow off top is this candle. So I don't see this going higher anytime soon. If you look at the 4-hour, again, you can see this descending volume just down to nothing again. Kind of looks like a pump and dump volume profile to me. Just insane and then nothing. It's in the 4-hour cloud. No buy signals based on the cloud right now. You're waiting for price above cloud, blah, blah, blah. Should it make a higher high? This 10K sat level, certainly viable, but I don't expect that for a long time. But who knows, because a lot of these alts just are beyond general TA, especially the low cap alts. They just, again, the order book's tiny, the market cap's tiny, somebody buys a bunch over and over again, it just goes to insanity. Here's Litecoin. I'm bullish on Litecoin 2 years out, right? Probably, just because they have Lightning. They got a lot of stuff in the pipeline coming connected to Litecoin. But the technicals right now look really bearish. You had your bearish TK cross, this is the daily. Bearish TK cross, we're below the 50% fib from high to low, it's entering what will be the bearish side of the cloud here. So this is definitely not a buy for me. This could just go right back to 003 pretty easily. There are plenty of pit stops along the way, but this is definitely the classic Eiffel Tower elevator up, or yeah, kind of is. This kind of is elevator upstairs down, but it just says that these weren't sustainable levels up here. There weren't enough buyers to hold the price up. Bevo's target is fine, just local high. His targets in general are just local high, all-time highs, which I respect. They're definitely this common sense targets. So you're going to see resistance at all-time high or previous local high every time. You're just going to see it. So putting your general target there is fine. Here's 4 hour, again, descending volume. Nothing that says bullish at all to me. You're seeing multiple bearish TK crosses. It's trying to hold this level for sure at 0.01, nice rounded number. But again, if it breaks that level, it's just going to go right down really quick. Your bullish entry signals, though, would be the cloud signals, which none are there currently. Here's NAV, and again, weeks of nothing, and then huge, insane volume. This is the blow off top wick for sure, but it broke that, you know, how many weeks later? Almost a year later, it broke the blow off top wick. So that there's just some anecdotal evidence that even with this insane run on this insane volume, relatively, it didn't break the local high, all-time high blow off wick. That took months and months and months of consolidation. And again, you're seeing these large barred candles, so be careful if you're getting in with a bad entry up here, because you could get wrecked real quick, just based on, I guess, thin order book. I respect this target. Again, it's just a local high, all-time high target, which is fine. NAV had a kind of a weak edge-to-edge. It hit the target, so you know, even if you're down, if you're in the trade somewhere down here, you can just make your target the flat Kumo, because so many times it'll hit exactly or just a few percentage points above or below. Here it hit exactly. It was the 50% of high to low. That's why it's there. So everything looks okay on the 4 hour. Just for ranging in this huge range order block, you can see just like a seismograph just chilling up in here. All-time high, definitely first target. But again, this is kind of like Factum. If it's consolidating near all-time highs, it could just keep going to God knows how high. Just because price discovery, FOMO, pull any extra box, whatever. Here's SIA coin, which many people are in very heavily, expecting this to go much higher, myself included. This has had 5, 10 drives at this point, who knows. There aren't many bearish signs per se. These wicks aren't pretty. It's not a tweezer top because the second wick is higher than the first. Again, it's not bullish, certainly. Volume is much higher here with the higher high, so no bear div there. It's painting a bit of a bear div here, which is probably why we're seeing some pullback. Probably continue to see pullback for a few days. Don't expect this to just blow up and hit this 1200 sat target anytime super soon, but just based on the hype around this coin on Twitter, I expect this to go higher. Vert, just a real quick shout out to Ambroids. These were his targets months and months ago when I did one of these videos, and you can see 2 of his targets hit really cleanly. His third one being 40k sats. So Vert's pretty interesting because if we look at it on the weekly, it gets me really excited. So this is the best chart of this video pretty easily. The question is, how valid is this run up here? Because pictures like this make the cloud look like this. So you're seeing several candles, one of which just had a massive blow off top. And again, if I'm talking about consolidation and wicks, like I have been lately with Bitcoin, you can see how long this has taken, over a year, to finally get back to the potential of retracing at least half of that. So this is an active edge-to-edge trade, which excites me more than anything. But the question is this valid because of how just insane this run was? You just have to assume it is and play it like it is. The cloud wouldn't draw this if there wasn't an opportunity just based on the math. So this is double cloud on the weekly, so this is a ton of data, a ton of data. Why is this here? It's because it's the 50% from high to low, low essentially being close to 0. So this is a 10x or more from this point on. I will buy some Vert and hold it for this target pretty easily. Again, you're seeing these large barred candles here, but it is a bit of a channel. Like, it's going to break the highs, the local highs here. You have to think that. These edge-to-edge trades, when it enters the cloud, you just have to view it as breaking resistance of it's dynamic support resistance. So if it's in the cloud, it broke one resistance, you expect it to reach the next level, which is 0015. Insane, but with all the other stuff going on with DGB, anything's possible with these altcoins, certainly. Ripple, pretty interesting. Bevo's target, respectable. R1 pivot, local high, that's fine. Ultimately, what made this go, I think, was the hype, the fundamental hype of like banks doing blah blah blah, and like, look how cheap it is, we can buy 1 million of this. And I think Ripple's crap. I still think it's crap. It's never not going to be crap. It's centralized. Banks might use it one day. It might be Swift 2.0. I don't know. It's still going to be crap. But can you make money off of crap? Of course you can. So your targets, I like the R2. Again, this has had 2, 3, 4, 5 waves at this point. We'll see if it keeps going. It has the potential. It has a nice edge to edge. Certainly not as insane as Vert coin, but the edge to edge here would be to the 16k sat level. It had its bullish TK cross. It's got some descending volume, so it's definitely consolidating. I think just buying here with the stop around 9k is fine, and your sell would be the 16. And again, why is it that line there? It's because it's the 50% from high to low. And lastly, if you've held out this long, looking at Zcash, Bevo's target, again, local high. Gotta respect that. Again, there's another high back here. One thing I was looking at for Zcash, similar to like Doge and LTC at one point, just the consolidation pattern. So it took 64 days to break the high. You'd expect the next high to be broken in less than 64 days. This is the 200 moving average on the daily. I expect this to be a resistance target when it eventually gets hit. It's just going to keep coming down as it flattens out. These would be the next zones for up, even though they're insane. 0.8, 0.25, something like that. That's all I have for today. On the alts, there's a dog barking in the background. Sorry about that. As usual, like, share, comment, subscribe. Send it everywhere you know. Shout out to Coin Farm. Let me know if I missed anything, if there's anything I should have TA'd that I didn't. If you disagree with my crapple analysis on Ripple, and happy trading.